nice couple of days, wasn't it? We didn't get as much snow as we possibly could have, as much as was predicted, but we did get a fair amount. Mostly it was the wind that was so bananas. There's a lot of drifting, and in places that we didn't get all winter long. That's kind of funny too. So it was quite a few days. The water buckets are frozen on top, but they are fluid underneath, so they didn't freeze solid. I mean, it hasn't been that many days, so I guess I shouldn't really expected them to freeze solid just yet. The only stuff that came up so far is cold hardy things. So let's take a look and see how they're doing. We've got some radishes, I have some spinach, and bok choy. And no surprise that they're not any bigger than the last time I looked at them. Let's see where the compost is at. Down near the bottom of the pile. Oh yeah, it is running out of steam. It probably needs some aeration. I haven't poked around to get some air into the center of the pile yet, so it makes sense that it would slow down, stop cooking quite so much. Let's take a quick look at this part of the experiment. I have noticed that this feels a lot colder than it used to. And wow, that's really cold underneath. So this pile is not sending much heat to the top. It's not unexpected. I have not aerated the pile yet, so I think I should come back out and what you do is you start to cook again. And I think I really goofed when I first put these seeds on here in the video 2 weeks ago, and I put the cover on. It got way hot. The pile was so fresh that this was just steaming. I had a thermometer in here and it was 50-60 degrees, so I'm sure I killed whatever seeds I put in here anyway, so I don't have a problem with starting this over and redoing this experiment. You guys are funny. I did want to take 1 minute first to show you the loofah that I started last week's vlog. 2 of them shot straight up. Within 3 days they had broken out. And I saw on one of them they had dropped the seed coating, and this is hard. I'm not surprised these little guys can't break their way out of the seed. This thing is really tough. Now, I planted 9, 10. I've got 2. The other ones are all still sleeping. So, hopefully, more of those will come out. When I woke up this morning, I realized today was going to be the day I was going to have to take everything out of the light table, rearrange where things go, and put stuff back in. When you're in the middle of starting things, you end up with plants that are tall, like your onions, and medium, like the peppers, and teeny tiny, like the petunias. Aren't they adorable? They're so freaking cute. So I've taken everything out, and I will change where the light levels are and start to put things back according to what they need and how close they ought to be to the lights. I have to shorten all these damn sticks. They're too tall. They stop me from getting the tomatoes under the light at a height that is good for them. Luckily, I have a million of these popsicle sticks. There, now they fit under. Give you a close look at those tomato seedlings. They just shot up last night, this morning. I've also decided that maybe for the rest of my loofahs, I'm going to put them on the heat mat as well. I know that they like it warm, so maybe that will make a difference for them. The petunias are awful precious to me. I'd like to keep them on the heat mats as well. They won't all fit. Oh, damn stick's too long. Now, what's next? The things I've started potting up can go at this end, and the cabbage are a little bit shorter, so I'll put them on a little booster seat. Looks like I need a little booster seat for the two little loofahs too. I kind of use my fingers to figure out how far away I want them from the light. This is probably as close as I want to go. So we've reached a point where a bunch of seedlings need to get potted up. They're just getting a little crowded in their starter cells. And when I started doing this the other day, I realized, hey, I actually have a couple things that I learned that would be worth sharing. First thing I like to do is give them a good soak. So I have them in a bucket and it has a little bit of water in the bottom, and I let them sit there for about a half an hour just so they're nice and damp. I showed you how I had that starting tray, the larger starting tray that I cut down into smaller segments. Well, it fortunately fits right over the side of my tub to hold them up. I have an apple corer, which if you shoot it into the pot there, pulls out a plug of dirt. I can make that a little bit bigger just by wiggling it around. And now my pot has a place for the seedling. Use a pen. It goes in that little hole that's at the bottom of the starting tray, and the plug pops right out. It can go into the pot, and because I left about an inch of space, now I just have to backfill. Press it down, and we're potted up. This apple core was the neatest trick when I realized what it would do for me. It's kind of like a bulb planter, but mini. Not that mini. So I'll do the rest of the cabbage and the jalapenos. Nice roots on there. They are definitely ready to pot up. Planted the jalapenos. I knew that the seeds were a little bit old, so I planted them extra heavy, 3 or 4 to each cell. And as they were coming up, some of them, they did very well. Some of them came up with 3 in each cell. So at this point, I look and I say, okay, you are the lowest of the 3, you get pinched out. Derp, you're gone. And so I will pot up with 2 to this size of pot, and then I will pot them up again one more time when I have a little bit more space in under the lights, and at that point I will then decide which one of the 2 do I keep. Sometimes if they're doing really, really well, I will tease them apart and separate them into their own pots, but I really don't need this many jalapenos, so 1 from each cell is pretty good. When you pot them up, that's a good time to give them a shot of fertilizer as well, whether you use Miracle Grow or fish emulsion or whatever it is that makes you happy. So there you go. Everybody's all potted up and everything is reorganized. And there is the tail of Minnie herself. There's one more thing I'm going to show you. Hang on. This is also the time when I set up the fan. Everything is tall enough that it can start to benefit from a little bit of air movement as they grow. You got to remember that these plants are going to end up outside, and so you are going to have to prepare them for the real world, and that includes wind. So I have a fan on a timer. It runs for 5 minutes every half an hour, something like that. All right, I think that's enough for today. Everything that I've potted up, I'm going to give a little slurp of fertilizer. We'll keep an eye on everything as they grow, raise the lights accordingly as required. Accordingly as required? Really? Good Lord. Just sign off. That's enough. Thanks. We'll see you next week. Thanks for stopping by.